Again, so this is the first big programming assignment for you. That you have written a number of Java programs before as you've worked through the exercises in the book. But this is the first one that, let's just say it's a little bit, it's another step forward in terms of complexity of what you're doing. Now, this code is a modification of the clock display project that's in Chapter 3. So you're going to be adding some stuff to that. It also is going to echo back to one of the first programs you did, which involved the simple graphics in Chapter 1. So in a moment I'm going to show you, I'm going to copy these objects. I've already copied these objects, these classes, clock display and number display, over into the project that contains the graphics, the code for creating squares, circles, triangles, etc. And we're going to make all of that work together to do something, which I'll explain in just a minute. Now, I assume at this point that you've read through Chapter 3 and that you've worked through the exercises on clock display. And so I'm not going to look at the code too much here, other than just to sort of, I'm not going to look at the code at all, but I will just reiterate that a clock display uses number display objects. The clock display class actually creates internally references to two number display objects. And in those number display objects, one of them contains the hours and one of them contains the minutes. And clock display has a method. I've already gone ahead and made a new clock display method that will get the time. And it returns that in this dialog box in this case as the hours 00 and the minutes 00 as a string. Right? Anything between two quotation marks is a string. And that's the display. Now it's not, it's certainly okay, but maybe we could do better. So what I have here, as I mentioned, is some modifications to the picture class that you will have that went with Chapter 1. And if you go back and look at that class, you will see that all these methods already existed in that class. And the only thing I made some changes to is the square method. But I'm going to give you the complete, I'm going to give you this project as a zipped file. And all you need to do is open it and start from there. In that project, I've moved over number display and clock display, and I've got a digit class all set to go. You will need to make some modifications to these three classes, to digit, to clock display, and number display, in order to get graphical digits, and that's basically your job in this program. So let's just see what this does. I'll make a new default clock display object, and there it is. It's not actually running at this point, but here are my hours digits, and here are my minutes digits. I didn't go ahead and put the colon here. I'll leave that as an exercise for those of you who want to make this look a little bit more like a digital clock display. Now I can actually have a method here which will set this thing off and running. I just have to get it front and center, and there it is. And you'll notice when it hits 60, it flips over. Okay? Now what's going on here? Move this out of the way. Move that down there. Maybe we'll just move it totally out of the screen. Okay? But this will just keep going. What's going on here is that number display is working just the way it did in the original program. There's a slight modification to it, but in terms of, it's storing one number display object stores the hours, and one number display object stores the minutes, and all the rollovers and all that stuff, that nothing is changing there. Clock display is actually making 4-digit objects, one for each of these 4 digits. And each of those digit objects is making a bunch of squares, actually rectangles. And let's take a look at that. So, this is how this works. You can make any of the 10 digits that we use to make up numbers by using 7 rectangles. And I can actually move these off so you can see that. 1, 2, and this is, by the way, how I numbered them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And by simply hiding and showing those, for any given digit, right? Do you think back to the make visible or make invisible commands for simple shape objects? If I want to make a 3 out of this, I just need to hide this one and this one, and I've got a 3-digit witness. Right? If I want a 4, hide that one, and that one. And I've got a 4-digit. Now I will include this graphic in the a copy of this graphic in the zipped file so that you can have it as reference. Because what you're going to need to do, I'm giving you the digit currently defines all of these rectangles, these 7 rectangles, but then you're going to have to, within the digit class, make a method that will turn rectangles on and off to create each of the 10 digits. So let's take a look at that. So we need to look at the digit class and look at that. This is the digit class, and within the digit class I have references to 8 square objects called line 1 through line 8. Now I actually don't need line 8, so I'm going to delete that. So these are the line 1 and line 2 are the 2 left-hand sides of our digit. Line 3 and 4 are the 2 right-hand side, and 5, 6, and 7 are the 3 horizontal lines from top to bottom. And here's the constructor. Well, I actually have 2 constructors here. Let's focus on this one. Actually, I'm going to erase this one for now, because that's something that you're going to have to write. But just to give you a hint here about this horizontal. Actually, no, you know what? I don't think I do give you this. I apologize. I do give you this in the code I give you. And this just allows you to create a digit object at different horizontal positions on the screen, since you don't want your digits to overlap. So each of the 4 digit objects that you create will have a different horizontal offset, and you can experiment to find out what a horizontal offset what horizontal offset values will work to create those. At any rate, the constructor, right, and here's another example of overloaded constructors. Here's the default constructor, no parameters. Here's the second constructor with a single integer parameter, which allows for digits to be created in different horizontal positions. The default constructor will make these 7 squares, rectangles really. This is the parameters here. I actually added a new constructor to the square object that will take in 4 parameters. This is the width of the rectangle. This is the height of the rectangle. This is the number of units it is from the top left corner, and this is the number of units. It's the top left corner of the rectangle is from the, this is the number of units that the left side of the rectangle is from the left side of the screen, and this is the number of units that the top of the rectangle is down from the top of the screen. So this all makes sense, right? Both rectangles are the same size, these 2 that make up the left side of the digit. They're both 60 over from the left side, but the second one starts 50 units further down than the first one. And the right side is very similar, and then the horizontal lines down here, and then draw is called, which actually puts it up on the screen. Okay? And now, there's draw, by the way. Right? You're going to just make line 1 through line 7 visible. Let's take a look at 0. Now I'm supplying you with 2 numbers, 0 and 1. You'll have to write the methods for 2 through 9. So for 0, I want to make the left side all visible, and the top line visible, the middle horizontal line invisible, and the bottom horizontal line visible. Makes sense, right? For 1, I need to make everything invisible except for those 2 lines on the right, 2 vertical lines on the right, and they're made visible. Okay? So you need to do a few things. You need to finish off digit. You need to modify number display so that instead of returning a string representing hours and minutes, it returns just the hours and the minutes, and maybe not doesn't return them. Sorry, I'm hesitating there. But calculates or takes the number of hours, does something to it so that it can splits it up somehow so that it can separate out this part of the hour, this part of the hour, and this. Remember, we're using a 24-hour. Whoops, you're not seeing that. So that let's back up and redo that again. Number display is going to need to, for the hours number, right, you've got the minutes number and the hours number. For the hours number, we're going to need to figure out how many 1s there are and modify that, the hours 1 digit, and how many 10s there are, and modify the hours 10s digit. Same thing over with the minutes, right? This is the minutes 1 digit, this is the minutes 10s digit, and those both have to be modified separately. So this is a little tricky, but by the way you can stop this is control-clicking down here, hitting reset machine. But that's what this project is about. Now you're going to need some help with this, I think, as we move along, but that gives you an overview of what you have to accomplish with the project.